Well, it is election night in the Coastal Bend, the runoff for the city of Corpus Christi, in which the mayor's seat and 2 city council spots are being decided by you, the voters.
Yeah, we do have teams across the city tonight ready to bring you live coverage, including reaction to tonight's results. Good evening, and thanks so much for being here with us on this runoff election night. I'm Mike Gillespie.
And I'm Leslie Adamy. We are here for your live election coverage. Now, the polls closed about a half hour ago, and pretty immediately results began to trickle in. So let's go ahead and give you a look at where they're at so far.
All right, this is for the mayor's race. And again, the numbers you're looking at now really are reflected from early voting. About 21,700 folks or so voted early. And so these are going to be some of the first numbers that you see. Based on that, it looks like the incumbent, Mayor Paulette Guajardo, is leading her challenger, Michael Hunter, 51% to 49%.
Taking a look at some of our other races as well. Well, we will work on getting some of those up for you throughout this this broadcast. But for right now, of course, one of the biggest races, the city of Corpus Christi, the one for mayor.
Yeah, the one that we were talking about just now, where Michael Hunter, who is the current city council member, challenging Paulette Guajardo for that spot, and doing, based on the early numbers, doing really well.
That's right. And our Bill Churchwell joins us now live. And Bill, we know that you've gotten the chance to speak with Mayor Guajardo throughout today. What can you tell us right now?
Well, I tell you what, after a full day of campaigning, Mayor Paulette Guajardo choosing to spend a much quieter evening at home with a small gathering of friends and family. And we are watching those numbers as they come in. Again, those early voting results show that Mayor Guajardo is ahead in what could be a tight race of 478 votes. That's how many votes separate the two candidates right now. Again, that is early voting numbers. Now, the mayor very confident earlier when we caught up with her as she traveled from one spot to another to try and encourage folks to get to the polls. She was joined by a group of supporters here at the corner of SPID and Staples as they held signs that read, "Honk for Paulette." Now, during the general election, she received 47% of the vote, the most votes out of the 6 candidates, but it wasn't enough to secure the position. The second highest vote getter, Councilman Michael Hunter, received almost 35% of that vote, sending the two to this runoff election in what has become quite a contentious battle. You've seen the ads. It's been heated. Now, Paulette has held the mayor's seat for 2 terms since 2020, and I caught up with her earlier, and she was very thankful of all her supporters who have helped her during this campaign. Take a listen.
Poll greeters are volunteer. They're volunteer. These are all people that believe in what we're doing. They believe in the progress that we have been making these last 4 years for Corpus Christi. So I'm super proud of that. I am proud. You hear all the honks and a lot of waves, and you see all these people who are just very supportive, it seems, and we're just thrilled, and it's just humbling. I'm super happy.
And when we talked with the mayor earlier about her accomplishments over her 2 terms, she said public safety, talking about, always being a strong advocate for police and fire. Now, we also reached out to Michael Hunter several times this afternoon, giving him the same opportunity to speak with voters, and he declined to be interviewed this evening. Reporting live, I'm Bill Churchwell. Now back to you.
Bill, thank you so much. We appreciate that. As he mentioned, we did have the opportunity at various polling locations, did see challenger Michael Hunter at some of those. He was also meeting with voters and supporters just at this time so far as decline an interview. Of course, if that changes, we will keep you updated. We did want to give you a look at some of the other races. There we go. This is the one for District 1. Wow. So Everett Roy and Billy Lerma. Everett Roy, the incumbent in this race, as you can see.
You can look at, again, these are from early voting numbers. Right. They're separated by 11 votes at this point. Now, that will change, obviously, when the voting centers start reporting from the people who went out and voted today. But this looks like it's going to be a tight one at this point.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Well, now, speaking of the battle for District 1, just so y'all know, this is a rematch between Roy and Billy Lerma, who is a former city councilman.
Yeah, now District 1, and I think a lot of people forget about this, it includes all of downtown Corpus Christi as well as North Beach. You're talking about the west side, Annaville, Cal Allen as well. Our Madeline Salinas has been following this particular matchup, and we're going to check in with her now live for a look at the contest. Madeline?
Hey, good evening, South Texas. That's right. I am joined with incumbent Everett Roy. Mr. Roy, first of all, thank you for being here this evening. The first set of numbers have come out. You know, those are those early voting numbers. Just wanted to ask you, how are you feeling this evening so far?
You know, I'm feeling pretty good. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone that came out to vote today. I'd like to thank my family for their support. And I think we're right where we thought we would be.
Absolutely. And you know, re-election, it's definitely a choice to run for re-election. Why did you decide to run for re-election this year?
Well, the work that I've done in the last 2 years with the council that I've served with, our work's not done. We have a lot of work to continue to do in District 1 and throughout the city, and I'm eager to continue to do that job.
And I'm curious to know, kind of like what we talked about earlier, I mean, District 1 is a pretty big district, correct? I mean, what do you hear from citizens over the time that you have been serving here about what they'd like to see done?
Well, you know, it's a very diverse district because it starts out in Cal Allen, and you know it has Annaville, Toloso, Midway, Uptown, Downtown, of course, the part of the west side, and then all the way out to North Beach. Right. So there's different needs for each area, and but you know there's some common threads there. So we have to continue to work on streets. We need to continue to make sure that we have a sustainable water source, and we need to make sure that we have economic stability for the region, and you know, make sure that we have job diversity. So there's a lot of work that we're doing right now to continue to make this city great again.
Absolutely. And so should things go your way, what is your #1 mission, or what are some of the things you plan to do if reelected?
The first thing, like I said, is probably we need to work on water. That's an important, especially right now where we're at, that's probably top on my agenda.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. And guys, we're going to have all the most up-to-date information on our website. That's going to be KIIITV.com. Leslie, Mike, I'm going to toss it back to you guys for now.
All right, Madeline, thanks for that live report. And of course, it's not just District 1 and the mayor's race, but the other one that's happening and has been a big part of this runoff election is what's happening over in District 4. And of course, District 4 is an area that a lot of folks are familiar with. You're talking about Flower Buff, Padre Island, over the Oso area. And if you look at some of the, again, the early voting numbers here, Kaylin Paxson doing very, very well. 66% of the vote against her opponent, May Nardone Mendoza, at 34%.
Yeah, so those are the latest results just of right now. Again, mostly early numbers. Speaking of District 4, you know, there's not an incumbent in this race, so there is going to be a new face taking this seat in City Council.
Yeah, it is. And again, it's a big and important district. A lot of things happening there. These are the two folks hoping to walk away with a win tonight. Now, if you were watching our newscast at 6, our Brandon Schaff was able to speak with Kaylin Paxson and a representative with Mendoza's campaign.
So let's go ahead and check back in with him now. Hey, Brandon.
Yeah, good evening, guys. And this race is really going in Kaylin Paxson's direction as we've seen some of these early voting numbers. They are currently watching everything here on Padre Island at this watch party tonight. And we're going to go ahead and bring in Kaylin, if you want to come over here. Obviously, this is a really exciting night for you, and I'm sure that you are inspired by the numbers that you've seen so far in the polls.
Brandon, I'm so inspired. I mean, first of all, I'm so thankful to God for this blessing, for this turnout, and the voters. Secondly, you know, they came back out to the polls. My goodness, thank you, District 4. And then third, our volunteers. You saw them earlier tonight. We had a troop of volunteers, and many behind me in this room. They've put in countless hours, so much effort, so much energy. They've gotten us this far, and this is a really great lead. We're not calling it just yet, but this is a great lead.
Yeah, and one of the things that we talked about earlier is the fact that there was a lot of support before with the general election and then with early voting. And you saw everybody showing out here for the runoff and really showing up in big numbers. I'm sure that you were encouraged by that throughout the day, and you're starting to see some of those results right now in the polls, right?
Absolutely, Brandon. We saw the energy, and that is what we said. We saw the energy from the general election carry into this runoff, and it's continuing to stay high because we're ready to get to work.
Absolutely. And my last question for you is exactly that. If you do have the opportunity to begin work as the District 4 City Council member for Corpus Christi, what is on the agenda for you? What would you like to really bring to this area?
The first and the biggest thing is to bring the focus back to making our community the priority. That's going to be in our spending, our water solution. That's going to be in how we prioritize and actually execute on these infrastructure items, and just in general representing this district in every way possible.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank
Good
you,
luck the rest of the night. There we go. Obviously, a lot of excitement out here on the island. They're very encouraged by the numbers that they're seeing, and we'll continue to keep you updated right here on our election coverage for 3 News. But for now, reporting live on Padre Island, Brandon Schaff, 3 News.
All right, Brandon, thanks for that live report. And again, I'm guessing this doesn't come as a huge surprise to her campaign. You'll remember in the general election, she had the highest vote totals there, more than 46, I think, % of the vote there in that, forcing this runoff. So it looks like things are still trending in her direction tonight.
Very much so. And a little bit about Kaylin Paxton, for folks who may not know, she is a Corpus Christi native, actually currently the Director of Community Enrichment for Aransas Pass.
Yes.
So if things continue to go her way, as it appears they are tonight, it'll be interesting to see what kind of goes on with that position as well. She's gotten a lot of endorsements from some big Republican names and organizations as well.
And whether Paxton or Mendoza wins, again, as we mentioned earlier, that means that we will have in that district a new face on the council.
New person.
And anytime that happens, that does change the dynamic a bit with our city council. Hey, why don't we take just a moment here and give you another look at those results. Again, these are based on early voting numbers that were reported. These came out not too long after 7 o'clock.
That's right. And as you can see, the incumbent, Mayor Paulette Guajardo, still holding on to her lead with 51% of the reporting votes over Michael Hunter's 49%.
Going on to the next race, we were, again, besides mayor, we're looking at District 1. This one, as we mentioned earlier, with the early voting totals, is right at a dead heat. The men are separated by about 11 votes. Everett Roy leading there. We expect this to look a whole lot different as today's totals begin to come out and as the different voting locations begin to report and update some of those numbers.
And the race that we were just talking about moments ago, as you can still see, Kaylin Paxton holding on to that pretty solid lead with 66% of the votes over May Mendoza's 34% for District 4.
All right, so we're going to go back and take a look and keep an eye on the numbers as they come in, as the voting centers report, so that we can get the most up-to-date election results and have the numbers for you, and really see how this thing shakes out tonight, because I still think there's a lot of story to be told here.
Oh, absolutely. And like you mentioned, Mike, earlier, there's going to be a different dynamic in this year, or the 2025 City Council for Corpus Christi. So lots to watch tonight. We're going to keep those races updated on our website. And by the way, if you've been joining us from our website or the 3 News Plus app or on Facebook, we certainly appreciate you keeping it here on 3 News for your runoff election night coverage.
All right, we're going to sign off for now, though, and we do hope that you'll join us on the air tonight at 10.